Let's talk about this. Number 10, the social anxiety connection. Wait, let me rephrase that. It's not rudeness. It's not laziness. It's science. And by the end of this, you'll never apologize for sending a "hey, can we text instead?" again. Your phone rings. Your stomach drops. You stare at it like it's a grenade. Meanwhile, your friend picks up on the first ring like a complete psychopath. What's happening here? Research on both sides of the Atlantic has a clear answer. A 2024 study published in the US-based Journal of Anxiety Disorders found something fascinating. People with higher levels of social anxiety consistently preferred texting over face-to-face discussions across all types of conversations. Even for mundane stuff like scheduling a date or sharing daily updates, socially anxious people wanted to text. But here's the kicker. When conversations got tough, conflicts, serious talks, even breakups, their preference for texting skyrocketed. It's not that they don't want to connect. They do. They just need a buffer. And that buffer is texting. The fix? Don't judge yourself. Whether you're in London, New York, or somewhere in between, if you need to text instead of call during a hard conversation, that's not avoidance. That's self-preservation. Your brain is protecting you, and that's okay. Number 9, the control illusion. Texting isn't just convenient. It's a control mechanism. Psychologist Andrew Boxer explains that texting tends to be preferred by people who like control and structure in their communication. Think about it. When you text, you get to craft your response, delete it, rewrite it, agonize over whether to use a period or not, add the perfect emoji. You're essentially editing yourself in real time. It's like having a pause button for social interaction. Phone calls, they're chaos. Someone asks you a question, and you have 3 seconds to respond, or it gets weird. 3 seconds. That's not communication. That's improv comedy. And most of us didn't sign up for that workshop. A 2025 study found that social anxiety significantly predicts what researchers call perceived controllability in texting, the sense of preparedness and editability that text-based communication offers. For people who feel out of control in social situations, whether they're navigating the tube or the subway, that pause button is a lifeline. Number 8. The editability superpower. Here's the research that explains everything. A study published in Media Psychology found that socially anxious individuals prefer texting because of its editable capability. When you're on a phone call, there's no backspace. There's no, let me rephrase that. You say it, it's out there, and you can't take it back. Texting allows you to craft a response that feels safe and representative of how you wish to be seen. It's not just about avoiding awkward silences. It's about curating your identity in real time. Every text is a performance, and you get unlimited rehearsals. One study found that women, in particular, may use texting as a way to manage anxiety. It's a survival strategy disguised as a communication tool. And before you come at me saying, but what about voice notes? Voice notes are the worst of both worlds. It's the commitment of a phone call with none of the immediate feedback. It's like someone deciding to perform a one-person play directly into your ear. We don't have time for that. Number 7. The cognitive load difference. Let's talk about why phone calls are so draining. Synchronous communication, like phone calls or face-to-face conversations, can lead people to feel a loss of control and corresponding anxiety. Why? Because phone calls demand your full attention. You can't half listen to a phone call while doom scrolling Instagram. Well, you can, but then you miss that your friend just told you they're engaged and you respond with cool, 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 and now you're a terrible person. Texting is asynchronous. You can reply when you're emotionally ready. Psychologists call this asynchronous communication, and it's basically changed how human brains process social interaction. It gives people the space to reflect and respond on their own terms. For someone who's overstimulated, exhausted, or just having a terrible day, whether they're working a 9 to 5 in Manchester or pulling a double shift in Chicago, that space isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Dr. Sherry Tuchel from MIT has spent decades studying this. She found that phone calls require what's called spontaneous intimacy. You have to be emotionally present right now. Texting allows for considered intimacy. You can reply when you're emotionally ready. Neither is better, by the way. They're just different. Number 6. The energy economics. Think of social energy like a video game. You wake up with 100 energy points. Every social interaction costs points. For some people, a phone call costs 5 points, manageable. For others, that same call costs 40 points. And now they can't function for the rest of the day. This isn't weakness. This is neurology. Experts on both sides of the pond note that in states of chronic stress or burnout, even small tasks like answering a call can feel like too much. Constant exposure to alerts, deadlines, and emotional demands can keep the brain in a hypervigilant state. But let's be clear. It's not always about anxiety. Sometimes it's just about efficiency. No social dance, no filler. Just straight to the point. Sometimes it's not avoidance at all. It's just preference. And here's a controversial take for the room. If you only ever call people and never text, you might actually be the one who needs to read the room. If someone keeps letting your calls go to voicemail, it's not a rejection. It's a boundary. Respect it. It's not about you. It's about their brain. If you feel drained just thinking about a phone call, listen to that signal. Your brain is telling you something important. Number 5. the generational divide. Here's the generational elephant in the room. Boomers, they'll call you just to ask what you had for lunch. Gen Z, they'd rather receive a certified letter than answer a ringing phone. Millennials are having an identity crisis about it. But why? A 2025 study found that younger adults, in their 20s and 30s, reported stronger preferences for texting and higher call anxiety than older adults, in their 40s and 50s. In the UK, the Uswitch survey of 2,000 people found that nearly 70% of 1834-year-olds prefer a text to a phone call. In the US, the Pew Research Center found almost identical trends. And get this, a quarter of people aged 18 to 34 never answer the phone at all. Dr. Elena Turoni, a consultant psychologist based in the UK, explains that because young people didn't develop the habit of speaking on the phone, it now feels weird as it's not the norm. More than half of young people admitted they think an unexpected call means bad news. Phone calls have become associated with urgency, stress, and emergencies. It's conditioning, and it's real. If you're under 35 and you feel anxious when your phone rings, you're not broken. You've just been trained differently. Number 4. The ADHD and neurodivergence factor. This is where it gets really personal. People with ADHD often prefer texting because it accommodates their nonlinear thinking. They can respond to the second thing you said before the first thing. They can take breaks without seeming rude. Phone calls demand sustained linear attention that can feel overwhelming. Autistic individuals frequently report that phone calls are exhausting because they're processing vocal tone, pacing their responses, masking their natural communication style, and trying to remember the actual content of the conversation, all simultaneously. Texting removes 3 of those 4 challenges. Phone anxiety, also known as telephobia, can have many underlying causes including social anxiety, ADHD, uncertainty, or past negative experiences. For neurodivergent people, whether they're accessing support through the NHS or private providers in the US, it's not about being antisocial. It's about survival in a world that wasn't designed for their brains. But here's the plot twist. Some autistic and ADHD folks actually prefer calls because tone is clearer. They don't have to decode whether okay means okay or I'm furious. The human voice provides certainty that text can't. It's not one size fits all. It's about knowing what your brain needs. Number 3. The attachment style connection. Your communication preference might actually reveal your attachment style. Psychologist Andrew Boxer explains that people with anxious attachment may lean towards calls for immediacy, while avoidant types might prefer the distance and control of text. Secure communicators tend to be more flexible and adapt their style based on the context and relationship. Think about it. If you're anxiously attached, you need immediate reassurance. A phone call gives you that. You need to hear their voice, gauge their tone, confirm they're not mad at you. If you're avoidant, you need emotional distance. Texting gives you that. You get to engage on your own terms without feeling trapped. Your communication preference isn't random. It's a window into how you relate to other humans at a fundamental level. And that's both fascinating and slightly terrifying. Number 2, the voice note paradox. But wait, there's a wild card in all of this. A new form of communication that's supposedly the best of both worlds. And it might actually be the most complicated one of all. Let's talk about voice notes. Psychologist Andrew Boxer notes that voice note senders typically pursue emotional nuance and warmth while avoiding the pressure of real-time interaction. It's a middle ground, emotionally rich, but still asynchronous and convenient. But here's the catch. Voice notes shift the effort to the receiver. Listening takes longer than skimming a message. The median voice note length is about 17.5 seconds. Once you go over 60 to 90 seconds, you risk losing the recipient's attention. Voice notes can build connection, but they also reflect a new dynamic. Quick and easy for the sender, slower and more demanding for the person on the other end. If you send a 3-minute voice note, ask yourself, are you being thoughtful, or are you just offloading your emotional labor onto someone else's ears? And let's be honest, has anyone ever accidentally hit send on a voice note and immediately wanted to crawl into the void? Because same, there's no undo button for that kind of digital regret. It's worth thinking about. Number 1, the deeper truth. So what's the actual answer? Why do some people prefer texting while others love phone calls? It's not one thing. It's control needs, anxiety types, neurological differences, energy management, generational conditioning, attachment styles, and personal communication styles, all colliding into one beautiful, complicated mess. The real question isn't which is better. It's what does your preference say about how your brain processes connection? A 2024 study found that despite the growing reliance on digital communication, people still showed a strong overall preference for face-to-face interaction, whether they're in bustling London, sprawling Los Angeles, or anywhere in between. Deep down, we recognize the unique value of in-person connection. Technology doesn't replace the need for connection and understanding. It reshapes the pathways people choose to fulfill those needs. And for the record, I used to stare at my phone, convinced something was genuinely wrong with me. I'd let it ring, feel guilty, and wonder why I couldn't just be normal. But after diving into this research, I realized my brain wasn't broken. It was just different, and so is yours. Whether you're crafting the perfect text or picking up on the first ring, you're still choosing connection. You're still showing up, just in your own way. And that's actually kind of beautiful when you think about it. But also, if you leave me a voicemail longer than 10 seconds, I'm not listening to it. Sorry. Send a text. Your mind just got a little clearer. More layers to peel. Subscribe for more.